First blood spills. I demand more!
Do it! Just do it! So just do it! Make your dreams come true! Just do it! While you're gonna wake up and work hard at it. Nothing is impossible. And you're not gonna stop there. No, what are you waiting for? Do it! Just do it! Yes, you can! Just do it!
首先看到的是 RTZ 跟这边的119的数据对比。KDA KDA 这边的话，119的 KDA 是非常的高啊，是已经完全碾压了 RTZ， 接近13的一个数字。然后输出和资源占比的话，双方的一个对吃到的资源跟打出的输出其实是比较相似的。参战率的话也没有差太多。
Yeah, just to translate for you guys, I believe it's obviously KD at the top. The second one is, I want to say, net worth share compared to his team. I know that the fourth one is kill participation, and the bottom one was how many different heroes they played this tournament. The middle one, I can't remember what it is.
就感觉看到前两个的对比 ，KDA 的一个差距
maybe the kills I don't know.
基本上是一个数据上的。
Someone in chat
对，一个都是这个2位数对这样一个单位数这样一个对比，又是一个13.39的一个 KDA， 而且伤害占比是达到了团队当中惊人的37.24%。这个比我们第一天看到的34%还要高。
Oh yeah, middle one is damage. Thanks, chat. Middle one is damage. There we go. So that percentage is comparing it to the rest of the team. Yeah. So that's percentage of team. So yeah. Okay, we'll go from the top. KDA. Percentage of teams' net worth, percentage of teams' damage output, and then percentage of fights they're in, and then the bottom one is how many different heroes they played this LAN.
而且特别是团队以他作为绝对核心进行一个发育的情况下，他能达到这么高的一个参战率，我觉得也是可以说明一些问题的。
这边是双方的3号位，
宇宙哥对阵 Kippy 的这样一个数据，3号位的数据可以看到 KDA 终于没有那么明显的差异了。双方的 KDA 是接近于持平就只差了0.4这样一个数据。然后资源占比跟伤害占比的话，也是没有什么特别明显的差异。特别是这边的一个伤害占比，这两个人就只差了0.02。场均的参战率的话呢，应该是 KP 会更高一点。英雄使用数量的话，也都是6个，比较平衡。这段时间 KP 也是偏向于。好，那么NewBee现在是位于这个夜眼方进行先手的这样一个半选。对
小精灵是被ban掉了。
对，面对 EG 的话，精灵体系尽可能的还是不要放出来，特别是对方在后手这样一个连点方。
是的，EG 的也是。
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the grand finals now of the MDL LAN. We've got NewBee versus Evil Geniuses. I'm ODPixel, I'm joined by Draskell, and we finally have the series underway as Game 1 begins. Andy, are you there?
I am indeed.
Perfect, perfect. And Andy, here we have it. EG versus NewBee. The last time these guys met each other, obviously just well, it was yesterday or 2 days ago, I can't remember. But it was in the upper bracket, of course. It didn't look great for EG. You know, NewBee looked kind of on another level. Obviously, EG climbing themselves back through the lower bracket, taking down OG this morning. Well, what do you think we can expect here? Are EG going to be able to step that game back up?
I think so. And I think that, you know, with EG's current lineup, there was one thing that kind of struck me versus, you know, NewBee when they played last time, is you watch that Invoker game of SC, and it's like, obviously he played a fantastic game, but I think that NewBee plays more kind of enabling supports, whereas EG I feel like maybe have a bit of a greedier farm spread where more people are taking more of the map. So you kind of have this space problem where you're not really allowed to get as much as you want. But I don't think that EG really showcased what they're actually capable of yesterday against NewBee. And I thought that the first game was actually winnable for them. Second game, obviously, you know, SC went crazy with his Invoker play. But, you know, this time around, looks like we're going to see a lot of pushing potential on both sides. We're going to have Luna, Shadow Demon, and then the Oracle Drow opening from EG. So I would expect pressure pretty much no matter what happens.
Yeah, both teams getting kind of the combos that a lot of people have been after in these drafts, as you said. Yeah, ST Luna, Oracle Drow Ranger. The question is, obviously, EG, who do you not want NewBee to have their hands on as well? I mean, obviously, we have seen SCCC on the Invoker. It's pretty impressive, and they've got the Shadow Demon, so they can run that kind of setup. I mean, do EG just ban the Invoker, or do you think you can draft around SCCC's Invoker play?
I think you can always draft around Invoker. It's just a matter of what your actual playstyle is going to be. And, I mean, when you're playing a heavy push strat, a lot of the stuff that you want to worry about is, like, hard initiation and other forms of split push as well, which is why they take out the Naga Siren. Obviously, we've seen SC also play Naga earlier on in the tournament to great success. And I feel like it's probably one of the better ways to deal with the Drow strat, because at some point, if you ever fail a push, it just punishes you so much harder because you have this hero who's constantly doing things around the map, wave clearing and whatnot can just be a huge nuisance. And as far as a gameplay perspective, I think that that's probably the best route to go.
Right, we have EG with their 4th ban. And of course they themselves with the Drow, with the Oracle, Sumail. What kind of heroes do you think he's going to be looking towards this game? Obviously, NewBee banning out his Storm Spirit.
Yeah, Storm would have been really nice, but you pretty much always see that second phase banned when you see a Drow. It's like, obviously Sumail plays a great Storm, but I think most teams would probably take that direction regardless of who they were playing against. So yeah, there's one of the initiators / split pushers also taken out from the side of EG. I don't know if they banned 2 Sumail heroes here. I think Storm is just a little bit obnoxious with the Drow aura in general. They might go for some ban on a Universe hero perhaps, because I'm thinking like Tide might be contested in these drafts. You typically see any kind of push strategy is going to have one hero that has some kind of counter engage or engage capability, and yeah, they're gonna take out the Batrider instead. It's similar, but the Batrider offers you better picking potential than a Tide, whereas Tide is more of just like the fail-safe of the 5-man, so let's see if EG wants to pick that up here.
Let's have a look. I mean, also, I kind of love to see Universe Axe come in again. You know what I mean? We saw him
that was really good too, yeah.
A pretty crazy game on the Axe the other day. And it's something
there's always Beast as well, if they want to maybe have a bit of more transition into the late game, because the Vision game can be really nice against Luna. She obviously has benefit of night vision through her passive, but having the Beast on your team can open up more gank opportunities. The only downside is you're playing it into an SD, which is why I was leaning more towards the Tide, but it's always a possibility just because of how proficient he is on the hero.
EG they are going to settle for the Mirana. Grab that for themselves. Maybe a little bit of obviously denying NewBee from being able to get their hands on it, as they do have the Shadow Demon setup. So EG, I mean, surrendering the Mirana, the Drow Ranger. I imagine this is probably going to be Sumail Mirana, isn't it?
From the looks of things, yeah, I would imagine so. It's nice to have Drow for the same reason as it's nice to have Drow for Storm. I mean, Storm is not really the best laner. Mirana kind of suffers from a lack of base damage, and just having the aura can put you in a position where you can kind of dominate your lane, whereas Mirana typically struggles against some other mids. Like, for example, an Exort Invoker would be a very hard matchup, because she just doesn't have the base damage to contest last hit. So if it does end up being mid, it's going to help a lot if they do have that aura.
NewBee now with the 3rd pick. I mean, if they were going to go for something like SCCC's Invoker, do you think they take it now? Or do they just leave it until later on in the draft? I mean, you've seen your potential matchup in the mid lane if it is going to be Sumail Mirana.
The only thing that's scary about that is potential roaming, because if they want, EG can still put the Mirana in another support capacity and just pick something else for mid that would be able to secure kills, and that's always something to look towards. If they're feeling confident in his ability to play the hero, though, then there's no reason why they can't take it now. It's just a matter of preference, really. Some teams don't like showing their mid until a little bit later, and some teams don't like showing their safe lane in other series that we saw until their absolute last pick. So teams based on preference will decide, okay, we want to pick something a little bit later on, and you spoke about the Axe. It's not going to be on the side of EG, though. It looks like we're going to get to see KP play it this time around.
Either way, I mean, for me, this LAN, it seems to be Axe and Timbersaw, the 2 heroes that kind of come to mind that we've seen just absolutely, just roll the whole game. And this is looking to be a bit of fun from EG, picking up the Void, and that looks to be the fabled Universe Void, I would imagine, here with this pickup.
Yeah, I mean, the Axe and the Void, they kind of fill the same spot as the Tidehunter for both teams. It's some kind of initiation / counter initiation hero that can help you when you're in those 5 versus 5 scenarios. I like Void in the sense that his teamfight potential is obviously a bit better than Axe having use of the Chronosphere, but Axe just doesn't have a cooldown. Axe can always fight, and I think that's kind of what NewBee are going for here. Just picking a hero that doesn't rely on having this big ultimate that you want to fight around. Luna's always capable of pushing more or less. Eclipse is probably, it's their longest cooldown ability right now. So we'll see if they want to just continue to add more and more pressure onto this. And given that pick, EG, they have, well, if we assume it's Mirana mid and Drow safe lane, Void off lane, their lanes are pretty good, but they're not amazing.
Lina Shadow Demon. It's coming through, and that looks to be. I mean, is that going to be a core Lina, or is it going to be just the support duo? I mean, does SCCC run this in the mid lane?
I think it's probably support. Right
Yeah.
now. I think they're just saving the mid hero until the last possible pick that they can. There might be something that they're looking to ban out of Sumail's if they don't think that Mirana's mid and perhaps pick a mid, or if they think it's Sumail Mirana, then they can just counterpick to whatever they see fit. I still think stuff like an Invoker is definitely possible, but they're going to take out the Alp, which is actually also a really good ban. They don't really have amazing damage during the mid game to deal with like an Armlet Radiance Alchemist. I think once he got like 2 to 3 core items, it would have been very hard to stop, and it's actually a very common pick against offlane Voids because the Void really only offers control. He very seldom offers any sort of damage output, and that kind of goes hand in hand with what I was saying, that the damage output on EG's lineup, unless everyone is hitting the same target, it's actually kind of lacking for a little while, and they're going to need to have like a pretty good early game to get their momentum going.
That's final ban from NewBee. Actually taking away the Ogre from EG, so we'll see now what NewBee's plans are going to be as they reveal their final pick. As you said, obviously EG with that ban, they do expect NewBee here to go for SCCC's hero and indeed run that Lina Shadow Demon as the support combo. Invoker's still there in the pool. We know he can play it like an absolute madman.
There's not much catch, honestly, on the side of EG, so I don't think Invoker's too bad here. You don't want to play against a lineup that can get in your face very easily. Invokers really don't like that.
And they take it. I mean, we've been saying it all draft. I mean, you got to think EG, they must have known this was going to happen, so they must feel that they've got a plan to deal with SCCC's Invoker this time round. And with this final pick, maybe it all comes apparent what the game plan is from EG. But they got to be a little bit... You got to really appreciate the power of SC Invoker after the performance he's given us.
Yeah, he played a phenomenal game on it the other day, no question. But it's also important to note again, like NewBee are picking it in a position where it's good. Like, there are some times when you pick a hero in the beginning of the draft and you get mega countered, and EG going with the... Is this a Zai Warlock?
I'm interested to see who's picking up who it is.
Yep.
It is the Zai Warlock coming out, and indeed the rest of the side, Sumail, Mirana, Universe Void, Arteezy, Drow Ranger, and indeed over the side of NewBee. It's the roles that we expected, but this is certainly a way to open up the finals here. Game 1 of this best of 5 between Evil Geniuses and NewBee. I mean, I've got to ask you, Andy, I feel that you're probably going to say you maybe prefer NewBee's lineup, or do you see a clear kind of advantage here from EG's run?
I think that the one cool thing about Warlock here is the interaction between Fatal Bonds and having Mirana eggs. Just how much damage that's actually going to deal during a teamfight if you land a good chrono. And not to mention being able to like channel upheaval from ridiculous distances and utilize that slow during fights. Because if you think about it, nobody on the side of NewBee has any sort of escape mechanism. So if they overcommit to a fight against a Warlock who has like upheaval Fatal Bonds and they eat some AoE from Sumail's Mirana, it can be pretty devastating amounts of damage. But yeah, I do kind of favor what NewBee are doing a little bit more. I think that playing the Void and the Mirana into the Shadow Demon, you know, if Faith is on point, we've seen how difficult it can be for a Void to really function against this type of team. But it's Universe Void, so if anybody's going to be able to make it happen, it'll be him.
Yeah, that really is the thing, yeah. It is Universe, and we'll see if he's able to pull it off with the big chronos as the game goes on. So, I mean, yeah, talk to me more about the decision to go for the Warlock here. What is it EG are hoping to do with this specific pick? Like, Zai, is he going to be moving around the map? Is he looking to babysit someone at the start? What's the plan?
There's a couple of things that's really cool about it. He's actually really strong in lane because he has good starting damage. You know, he's obviously going to have the precision aura as well. Shadow Word heal is very, very good in the early game, and it costs like no mana. It's like 90 mana at level 1. That's pretty much nothing. So he can pretty much harass. He can lane support. It's not that the hero is necessarily super weak in lane, it's that most of his abilities have a very long cooldown. So you need to use them and get value every single time. That's why the hero is so difficult to utilize. But there's also another part where if you have Chaotic Offering, it's a great way to disengage from fights that you don't want to take, and it's also a great way to start a fight or set up for things like Chrono, because the stun on the Chaotic Offering now is a bit longer than it used to be, so it's a full second. And you can drop it, get a nice chrono on top of it, and like I mentioned, the Fatal Bonds interaction with Sumail's Aghanim's in the mid-game. You're going to be having to buy BKBs on NewBee if you don't want to just explode to that sort of damage output. So it kind of solves one of the other issues where I thought that they were going to pick Tide. That gives him that disengage and gives him that teamfight potential, but in a support role instead of an offlane.
I mean, the question is, though, obviously support Warlock, is it going to be strong enough to help EG deal with this aggressive tri-lane? Because NewBee, they're coming down on the bottom with U9 on the Luna. Kaka on the Lina and Faith on the Shadow Demon, so they want to contest Arteezy's farm. I mean, how well can EG deal with this, or is this just going to be a pretty rock-hard lane for Artur?
I mean, it's not going to be super easy, especially when NewBee get a couple of levels. So at level 1, I think they're actually okay, but you can tell that they're still kind of scared. They don't really want to try to engage if they don't have to. They're just waiting for the creep wave to push up. But yeah, as NewBee get levels, this is going to become more and more difficult. Level 2, you're going to have, you know, potential Shadow Poison. You're going to have Kaka's second spell, whether it be Dragon Slave or Light Strike Array. And that's enough to kill, so you need to be very, very cautious.
On the other lanes at the moment, Sumail in the mid, 4 for 2 against the 1 for 1. We saw him put a heavy bit of harassment down on SC as well, so Sumail off to a good start. Indeed, that extra bit of a damage from the Precision Aura is certainly helping him out during this early laning stage. Finally up towards the top, Universe. The Void versus the Axe lane. I mean, obviously, kind of as a staple, Axe good against melee, but a Void, he can stand up against an Axe.
I still think KP is going to have an advantage.
Okay.
It's just really, really difficult to abuse things like creep aggro in this type of lane because, as you just saw there, he's going to take spins every time he does. And Time Walk has an extremely long cooldown at low levels, so you're not going to be able to utilize it every single time KP wants to play aggressive.
We'll see if Kaka gets himself a good rune here. He's going to be able to find himself a haste. Hasn't quite got level 2. Goodbye haste. As Crit purges it off there quickly. And the CS at the moment for the two.
By the way, can we just talk about how Sumail is 12 and 4 right now?
He is continuing to dominate this lane. You know, at the start he was in there punching, and this is This is
literally hit every single creep on the first 2 waves. That's insane.
He certainly is having a good time.
He wants revenge, man.
He does. Sumail back for another round against SC's Invoker. And we'll see if it goes a little bit better than previous experiences. CS for both Universe and KP. Yeah, 11 for 8 for 0. So, as you said, KP's got the edge, but Universe, he's still finding something from that top lane. And bottom, Arteezy 9 for 3. And U9 9 for 4. So, both teams getting pretty much equal trades down there on the tri lane. No one feeling the pressure too hard. I mean, is this good enough for NewBee, or when they run a tri lane like this, do they need to be coming out on top of Artur's farm and need to be finding kills?
I think they want to be getting a little bit more. I think they want to win this lane harder than, you know, trading slightly better farm. But it's kind of difficult, you know, when you're playing against 2 supports like Oracle and Warlock, because they, you know, they're both going to have heals, and you can even see right now that Crit's holding onto a skill point. So if somebody gets disrupted, he can Fate's Edict them after they come out of the disruption, and there will be like no magic damage output, which is a lot of the kill potential that NewBee have on this lane. And alternatively, if they want to get a kill, he can just kill Purifying Flames to go first. So all things considered, I think that EG are probably fine with this for now, because we've seen Drowse in the past get completely shut down in lane and still be able to offer a tremendous amount of damage just by virtue of having the Precision Aura and marksmanship. So I think for now it's okay.
Alright, we'll see as Kaka. Let's see if it makes any kind of movement towards the mid. Andy, your mic is crackling a little bit. I don't know if there's anything you can do.
Let me I'll unplug it, plug it back in.
Yeah, that will fix it, Andy. A little bit of a go there on the bottom as Crit. This looks towards the supports. Still trying to find an opening. Kaka has an arcane route. So now would be a really nice time for NewBee to try and make a go. Level 3 on Faith as well. If they can find a disruption, they can certainly do something pretty nice about this. Back towards the mid, Sumail. Still leading 25 for 4 against SC's 19 for 7. And SC starts to catch up, but it definitely is Sumail in the driver's seat. It's easy, keeping just about on par with U9 as it really is a battle of the supports. Both of them really sending it out, doing their best to create space for their hard carries. Sumail actually relatively low in the mid lane. They brought Universe across. Now, Universe TPing and maybe hoping that the SC would be tempted by Sumail's low health, but that isn't going to be the case. And Universe, they just had to make the long walk back towards the top lane, not finding a chance to drop the chrono mid.
Alright, are we good? Is it better?
Oh, you did it, and I think that is better. What did you do?
Alright, nice. I have a mixer, and sometimes the cable, I think, gets a little loose, and I just had to, like, re-fix it, I guess.
Oh yeah, that's much better. Much better. Right, let me just put you back up. There we go. Much nicer. Anyway, Andy, it's 5.5 minutes in. No one yet to die. It's pretty tame at the moment.
Well, sometimes that happens. I mean, the highest kill potential lane is most likely bottom, because there's the most heroes down there. But when there's no rotations or anything during the early game and both teams are just going for the straight-up static lanes, then it's more often than not you're just going to see a heck of a lot of farm until somebody hits 6, or somebody decides to, you know, TP to another lane. But I mean, all that movement is going to be fairly obvious, given the fact that it's try versus try bottom, so as soon as supports go MIA, you're going to be like, oh, well, you're potentially getting ganked, back off, and there's even less potential for kills in that scenario.
I mean, we did see, of course, Universe, he did look towards mid with the Chrono. I mean, he's kind of going back and forth between the top and the bottom. I mean, if he sees an opening down on the bottom lane and he can turn around a bit of aggression, they can, they could take down a few members of NewBee. So I think, NewBee are aware of this and actually kind of splitting up a little bit more around the map. Kaka's headed towards mid with SC.
Oh, he actually hit that.
Does he? Can he follow through? He wants to. Oh,
yeah, I think he's one more hit.
Oh, so close. He has to play it safe though. I mean, SC was low as well. That was.
I think Universe
very
either
close.
got his TP cancelled or just decided that the TP wasn't going to be worth it. He didn't have faith in the arrow, and then he ends up hitting it like actually max range. And unfortunately, he wasn't able to get close enough to get the double Starstorm. So Kaka manages to walk it off. That would have been a really nice kill for him.
But still, nonetheless, Samaj is getting so much farm in this mid lane. 4 TCS at 7 minutes in. Of course, the top of the board at the moment is KP. He's using the aggro very nice and just nearly on 50 CS. So this is going to be quick timings for Axe. He's already got the Vanguard, and he'll start to work towards that Blink Dagger. So we can expect KP to have the start for the potential to have real big impact this game, as he looks to get very good item timings. A couple of smokes picked up by Kaka, and we'll see if they can try and get in position to do something. Faith already moving towards the mid lane. I mean, if they can get a kill onto Samael, that'd be great, because he is having the better time compared to SC. SC backing off, using the Forge Spirits to farm some of the jungle a little bit safer. And whilst this all goes on, RTZ getting more space down on the bottom lane, and now keeping himself ahead of the farm of U9 on the Luna.
Yeah, I think that killing Sumail is pretty tough. I mean, just having the leap escape, there's not really much chase, so I think what they're banking on is just stacking these Ancients. NewBee's got like a 4 or 5 stack right now. I think it's actually 5. His Faith could actually be in trouble.
This looks to be a first blood, unless he can get the Roshan deny. He's going to try for it, but the stun on Rosh, yeah, that's going to do it. Make sure that Rosh doesn't get the final touch in inside. The one to find first
they're going
blood.
to scout the stack? Oh, he didn't go close enough. Oh, the range creep's going to see it. Okay, so they know that it's there. I don't know if EG necessarily want to contest this. KP went for the Vanguard first build, which will obviously allow him to kill the stack. And looks like EG don't have any intentions on contesting this at all, which means that KP is pretty much going to have a Blink and a Vanguard super freaking early.
Yeah, absolutely. This is going to be ridiculous amounts of farm for KP, I imagine. He's right up there, next to Samael on net worth at this moment in time. Universe wants to use Chrono, and U9, he's on his own down top lane. Crit's going to turn up as well, and I don't think U9 can get his way out of this one. He needs backup, and he needs it fast. SD's coming along, but it's too late. As EG able to take down the Luna. I mean, we obviously saw U9 being moved to that top lane, left on his own, and EG quick to punish. And Universe's first Chrono, very successful.
I mean, once the lanes break down, that's when you kind of have to expect to see kills. And it's all just because of the fact that KP decided that he wanted to go for the Ancient stack now after finishing the Vanguard. So he's like, okay, rotate out, send U9 to the safe lane, I'll kill the Ancient stack. He's even giving Kaka a bit of EXP here so he can get 6 and get that Laguna. This stack is going to be a huge thing for them. The blink timing is going to be much faster. There's an ultimate available now on a support hero who does a tremendous amount of damage. I think as soon as that blink comes out, NewBee are going to start playing way more aggressive.
And that blink is certainly going to come out soon, as we're mentioning, with the farm that KP's getting.
Yeah, he's like 700 net worth ahead at 8 minutes. That's a crap.
He had a crazy. And this is something that we're kind of getting used to, actually, to see. I mean, this seems to be the play pretty much every Axe game now, doesn't it? You always have your Ancient stacks. You always get the Vanguard first. You know, there's never that kind of differentiation before getting the Blink or getting the Vanguard. Because you can do it at that speed, and then with those 2 items at a decent timing, you're jumping into these heroes of EG, and I mean, you've still got to be careful, because EG, they do have magical bursts. You know, a few Purifying Flames from Crit and a Starfall and an arrow from Samael, and you can still go down on the Axe. So Vanguard by no means is going to guarantee his survival. But if you can get a good jump,
it's solely a farming tool, actually.
Yeah.
it sounds weird to say, but the Vanguard is actually how he farms. So, yeah, I mean, it's still a good strategy because EG, even if they contested the Ancient stack, they can't actually kill it themselves. So they pretty much would just, you know, kill KP once or twice, but eventually they would have to back, and then eventually he would get it regardless. So instead of wasting the time and effort trying to contest the stack, they just give it to NewBee full well knowing that there's no freaking way we can kill this many Ancients that, you know, I guess it was 8 or 9 minutes in when it was 5 stacked. But yeah, KP, he's got his Blink, he's got his Vanguard, actually prior to even 11 minutes.
No, that's crazy. And now's the real test, though. You know, he's found the items quick. Can he get something big done with them? They've got their eyes down towards the bottom lane by the looks of it. Only Zai here at the moment. RTZ's moved elsewhere. Now with the lifesteal, just clearing up some Ancients himself. Obviously in the safety of his own half of the map, so unlikely that they're going to be able to find him. Nice group up though from NewBee with KP, Faith and Kaka looking towards the mid lane. Jump onto Sumail, could be good. Sumail, he's got to be careful. I've got the vision of him. But Sumail backing up. They know something fishy's going on. And now with the smoke, this is going to be the test for NewBee. Can they get a good blink reveal? Oh,
they know they smoked.
They did.
Yeah.
So Sumail, yeah, unlikely to be caught out. In fact, EG want to go for the counterplay. Universe, he's got the chrono.
Oh!
Now he drops. He gets the 2 supports, but KP did get the 3-man call. SC turns along. Zai drops the golem down. They're forcing back SC. Axe on the back of it, looking for Artur. Now they're going to turn around, start to play with KP. Crit, Universe, and RTZ are going to bully him back. They've already lost the Lina on the sidelines. There's a second death on the side of NewBee. Face Raylo as well. He has to get himself away from the golem. A very, very nice reaction there from EG, as you said. Scanning out that first smoke from NewBee, getting in position to turn it around. Great chrono from Universe. I mean, it's not getting the kills, but you're holding those 2 supports back, and you're holding back that Shadow Demon, the hero that we've seen time and time again save the person that the enemy's going on. And EG able to find 2 kills from it.
Yeah, I mean, SC gets a deny on the tower, which is great. Actually, the biggest thing about that entire fight is Universe dodged the call with Time Walk. If he got hit by that, it would have been a 3-hero call. There's a high likelihood that at least 1 hero would have been in call range after that wore off, and there wouldn't have been a save. So the fact that he didn't get hit by that and was able to chrono for counter engage to make sure that nobody was going to be able to follow up damage, it just killed KP. Because KP couldn't get into the fight. SC was trying to hit Universe inside of his own chrono because that bubble was blocking the path into the river to the rest of the team of EG. So the initiation could have been so much better if he was even like a split second sooner on that. And the Blink Dagger reveal and the smoke both fail pretty badly here on the side of NewBee.
And NewBee not wants to be thrown off though. Looks like they are going to try and move over. See if they get anyone in the jungle. I mean, for the time being, it's just taking control of EG's jungle. But EG in turn, they'll simply move over to NewBee's half of the map. And Zai putting the pressure in onto the top lane. And looking to work towards the Midas here on the support Warlock. So we can get those big items out, the Ags, and eventually that refresher. I'll see if NewBee want to do anything about this. I mean, at the moment, NewBee hanging around mid lane. Maybe hoping that they can kind of find a pick here. But the camps have already been cleared out, and essentially this is time wasted for NewBee. And EG, they'll look to get a tower out of this space. And Sumail coming back towards the mid with an Invis rune. Let's see if he goes for some kind of cheeky solo play onto Unai.
There's no eclipse. Very hard, but super risky.
Especially with the backup being revealed. But Sumail just keeping eyes on this, and yeah, EG, they'll finish off the tower top, so tier 1 down. We'll see if they want to try and fight this. The line's being drawn. Question is if they can get there in time. They do have a fortification, EG, and indeed TP to the tier 2. They want to fight. Universe has the chrono. There's the arrow to come out. That's going to be whiffed by Sumail, and if anything, just scares NewBee off. So with the TP's back, they keep the tower alive, but they're unable to potentially find the fight that they would have hoped to look for.
Well, they did get the tier 1 in the safe lane from NewBee, so and at the end of the day, they still made a favorable trade. I think Sumail was waiting to see if NewBee were going to defend, because if he's sitting there with an invis, he can throw an arrow to cancel a TP, and 1 or 2 stragglers means that, you know, EG could potentially counter engage or just straight up fight over the safe lane tower. So regardless, that invis rune actually ended up doing them a lot of good, because it allowed Sumail to be in a position to give quite a bit of information to his team in regards to what NewBee's movements were looking like, and because of that, they defend their tier 1.
Universe back up to top, nearly hitting on to level 11. Treads, Poor Mans and Vlad, still good item timing here for the Void. And in fact the rest of EG moving in, so really wanting to fight as 5, yeah, especially with Zai, he's got the golem back off cooldown. So EG are in a very good position to take a 5-man. Samel kind of on the front, doing a bit of the bait. You know, Void Universe just heads back to get that last bit of XP to push him over to level 11. And we'll see if NewBee want to react to this. This time, NewBee, they're just going to look for the trades themselves. I mean, obviously with the pushing power of SC, they can take towers fast, and the tier 2 down bottom is gone. More money in the bank for SC. Fortification will come out from NewBee, but not back in time to defend. The EG find the trade. And tier 2's going down on both sides of the map, but NewBee, they're going to be ones to try and capitalize and make more of this as SC and U9 move into the pit. EG, and may look to try and just pressure NewBee to back off and defend as Arteezy, he's starting to hit onto tier 3s here.
Oh, he canceled the CP. I don't think they saw that. It looks like EG are just going to back off anyway. NewBee popped a smoke. I guess they're just going to go for the 2-man Roche. I think that EG know about this, and they are not going to kill it that fast.
Yeah, it's just pinged out by Crit.
Well, they had wards behind the tower, so they would have seen the TPs from EG anyway, so they're not going to take the risk of being in that spot. They need their axe if they're going to fight this as well, so KP needs to get over here if NewBee want to take any sort of engagement. But NewBee did a really good job at lighting up the map on the side of EG, so they're going to see all the movement for now. They'll understand if we can, you know, safely farm, if they're going to be going for Roche and stuff like that. So until D wards come out, being on this side of the map for EG, all their movements are pretty much going to be read perfectly.
It's a very, very calculated game here from EG and from NewBee as well. Just 4-0 at 17 minutes in. I mean, it kind of feels that one of the things that is going to hurt NewBee is the fact that, you know, they got that good timing on KP's Blink and Vanguard, but as of yet, he's not been able to do anything with it. He's resorted back to farming, so they don't really have that kind of peak potential where, you know, he hits hard and catches EG off guard at that stage. And EG, they're kind of making the most of that. You know, they're grouped up, they're taking 2 top, they're taking 1 mid, now they're taking 1 bottom. And they may be ready to move in for more again.
Well, I think that taking a full-out engagement right now for NewBee is a bit scary, just because of what happened last time. Like, if KP's call isn't great, then all of a sudden you have this Chronosphere counter-initiation, there's a ton of damage output on the side of EG, and like you already mentioned, a lot of it's magical as well. So KP's really not that tanky with just having the Crimson Guard completed. I mean, it's helpful against the Drow strat, but in the grand scheme of things, you can still get bursted fairly easily, so Light Shadow going to be used here. Doesn't look like NewBee actually have any detection right now. They have sentries on Kaka, but he has none down.
Universe is going to find Kaka by the looks of it. In fact, KP kind of next to him as well. There's the golden drop, but the Chrono doesn't catch Kaka, but he gets KP, allowing Arteezy to beat down into the Axe. Samael quick to finish off Kaka. But EG with 2 swift kills, a tier 2 as well. The push will continue. And I mean, at this stage, they don't have the Chrono, but they may be able to force out that buyback from Axe. He's down for 30 seconds, and EG's push with the Golem, it's going to be pretty fast.
And this is the kind of pressure you expect from a Drow strategy, especially having the Golem to utilize as well. The biggest problem with that is EG backed off, but they never passed ward vision on their side of the map, so you can see that NewBee has those 2 wards inside of the jungle. After some time, if they're gone, and they haven't shown themselves on the map, and you have those wards down, it kind of becomes obvious that they haven't actually gone all the way back yet. So unfortunate that NewBee ended up getting caught by that, because they pretty much walked all the way to the river, sat there for a second, and then walked back. So if you have enough time to do that, you clearly have enough time to walk back to your side of the map. A small thing, but if they were really paying attention, I think they could have noticed.
Well, there we have it. Buyback forced out on KP, but EG getting everything that they wanted from this push. And the only thing kind of stopping between them and going for a full high ground assault is the tier 2 mid. NewBee, they need to fight back. They need to strike hard. But again, it's been scanned out, Andy. These scans
Dude,
from EG.
These scans? They're literally on point every time.
Give that man a vac ban. Both times, these kind of crucial smokes, and both the times that NewBee needed to kick it off. The first time with the blink reveal, and now when NewBee are behind and need to come into a big fight, it gets scanned. EG back off.
They don't have Chrono.
Yeah, this can work for NewBee in the sense that they've kind of scared EG away so they can get into Roshan, get themselves the Aegis, give themselves a bit of a leg up. And indeed,
they probably know what's happening, yeah. So Artur is drawing the line to push mid. He's like, okay, they're Roshing for sure, so we need to push the waves out to make sure that they can't get any objective off of their Aegis. Like, let's keep our tier 2 mid alive. This thing's going to be dead well before they get there. I think that pushing the wave is probably the better play. Unless Chrono's going to be up. Okay, yeah, it's 7 seconds, so they will have it here.
They're hanging around. Samael very much on the front line of this. He will leap away. At the same time, we've got 3 members of EG up towards the north. It's going to be Demonic Curse. He needs a bit of backup. See where it comes from. Universe drops the Chrono, but there's the Shadow Demon Disruption. It's not a great Chrono. And So EG have to get themselves out. They've already lost Zai. They may lose more. Crit going to take a full Eclipse to the face. And SC looking for the chase down onto Samael. Tornado. Oh, it's only a little one. It's only a baby. And that will
That's
not
a
be enough.
one-wax tornado. That's the sad tornado.
Yeah, it's just a little bit.
That fight was... It seemed like EG had pretty good positioning, but the problem was Universe was on the wrong side of the river when he wanted to try to engage, and because of the fact that he doesn't have his Blink Dagger yet, you know, he has maybe 200 gold for that fight more than he has right now, and that would have been a Blink Chrono potentially on 3. But I think he might have overestimated a bit how far the Time Walk and the Chrono cast distance was, and tried to go for like 2 or 3 heroes, and only ended up hitting the 1. And obviously Faith is outside of Chrono, Disruption. As soon as that happens, fight's lost, because they didn't have Zai's Chaotic Offering at that point, so there's no counter engage, and the Warlock was the first one to die in the fight anyway. But with the Blink Daggers being picked up on the side of EG, I don't think we're going to be seeing any more subpar Chronos like that. It'll be a lot easier for him to get in position now. On the bright side for NewBee, though, they got the Aegis, which means that they're going to have at least a couple of minutes where they can feel safe and, you know, try to get whatever farm on U9 to bring himself back into the game and get that Aghanims finished up on SC, which he actually does have in his stash right now.
Yeah, SC's still in a very good position in terms of farm, of course. Yeah, top of the net worth, as you said, with that big item there. Just needs a few more levels so he can have a little bit of a growth spurt to those tornadoes. He just needs a bit more time. At the moment, NewBee with fights like that are able to slow down the pressure that EG were putting on, and EG were very much putting it. Yeah, they managed to take the tier 3 down bottom, force out buybacks. Now they'll look to move towards the tier 2 mid. We'll see if NewBee have got a bit of a better hope of holding. In fact, they maybe want to. Look at KP's positioning. He's coming in. We'll get the call. Only onto RTZ. Sunstrike as well, bursting him down fairly low. But he didn't get 2 of them, so NewBee will back off. EG's still in the neighborhood. Let's have a look at Universe's Chrono timing. There it is. Back off cooldown. They could go. They've got Chrono. They've got Chaotic Offering. Universe has the Blink reveal. If he finds an opening, it's going to be pretty major for EG. U9's going to be the focus. KP's actually going to be the one to kick it off. And actually tries for a call. It's off the mark. So immediate Moonlight Shadow in response for Samael. They try and reorganize themselves. There's a sentry down for NewBee, so they will spot out Universe coming across near to the tower. But with that whiff kind of bit of play, it looks like NewBee's just backing off, and they realize it's just so hard to fight outside of their base. They want to wait for the high ground defense before going all in.
Yeah, the tower was too low to warrant defending at that point. And the problem is, if you take the fight there, and the tower is already low, and you lose the fight, then you have to commit so much more, and being inside of your base makes it a lot more difficult for EG to actually take the engagement. So having Universe get a nice Blink Chrono in a tier 2 is much more reasonable, but blinking into their base to get a Chrono is another matter entirely. But now the issue lies in the fact that their Rax's bottom are exposed. And with the Manta style out onto Arteezy every time it's up, you know, if they want to go with the creep wave, they can chip that range Rax down. It just depends on how much they want to commit to this.
They really do have all the tools. As you said, it's all about the jumps, and in response for NewBee, a lot of it on the positioning of Faith, making sure that he doesn't get caught out in these big AoE ults, and is able to react and save one of the cores with a disruption. EG, I mean, do you think is there much pressure on EG to keep this tempo up? Like, if this does go on, do they just get crushed by kind of a late game Invoker and Luna? Or
no, I don't think so.
There's not that much pressure for EG.
I don't think there's like I don't think that NewBee has amazing late game in comparison to them or anything.
Yeah.
You have like Chronosphere. Mirana scales very well with her damage output until BKBs. And then Drow is always going to hit hard. She's less like mid-game oriented than she used to be, I think, with the addition of stuff like Aghanims. So if the game starts to go long, he can go back for it. He can farm up a Storm. Yeah, I don't think EG are necessarily scared of NewBee's late game. But I guess the worst case scenario is you mess up a high ground push or two, and then you get the Shadow Demon Luna combination with illusions that starts to become very annoying. But even that, you know, they still have Mirana, and Mirana kills illusions like instantly with their Aghanims.
Yeah, and this is the thing as well. I mean, you look at the net worth difference. It is only 2k in favor of EG because they're kind of putting a lot of eggs in grouping up and going, whereas NewBee have been able to split up the map a bit. Well, indeed, Arteezy being focused. Crit's going to be there, keeping him alive, saving him from the magical burst. He'll be allowed to walk out. As, yeah, a bit of an unfortunate use of the Laguna Blade there onto Artur, when Crit already had the barrier around the Drow Ranger. And with that, they'll group up. There's a mech now onto Zai as well. KP tries a bit of a jump in. There's the only catches Kaka. It may be good enough that they're looking for KP, but SC coming in with a combo. Is it going to be enough? The Golem's drop. KP is going to be protected by the disruption now. Unai moving in with the Eclipse. Sumail trying to turn, face them back. KP jumps back into it. The Lunar Blade takes down Sumail. KP trying to get the call onto Arteezy. He's going to find it. He needs a few spins. There's one. He needs another. He does get it. Takes down Arteezy. The final nuke from Crit's Purifying Flames punishes KP though. Now NewBee, seeing if they can chase down for more. Zion, Crit, they're left, the turnaround, but Faith there with the defensive disruption. They need to kill this Golem because Kaka's low, Faith as well. They're incredibly low here. Not quite low enough for Crit to burst down. There's everyone out of mana, so Crit and Zion will back off, but EG losing 3 there and only taking 2. They do manage to find the range Rex though, but the melee Rex still stand intact.
These Chronos are actually not so great from Universe this game. I think he landed... He's really only hit one hero spheres as far as... Oh no, he hit 2 one time.
He did hit 2, yeah. That was the one pretty good, but yeah, other than that, I can't remember who he got in the mid lane, but it wasn't the Shadow Demons, so there was the disruption, and yeah, as we saw in that one, he only catches the Lina on the side of it.
Yeah, I mean, he went for the greedy one there because he wanted to hit KP and the Lina, but KP walked forward as soon as he saw the time walk, like, outside of his face instead of towards the well. And I think that was something that Universe didn't expect because he just simply walks out, and then all of a sudden, you know, you look a little bit silly after that. But those spheres, you can't break the high ground with those. You need at least 2 heroes, and I think that U9's positioning was amazing during that fight because the creep wave from EG was pushing in when he popped Eclipse, but he still managed to like not hit a single creep with his entire ultimate, and a lot of that damage was what ended up killing Sumail in the end. So very well executed there from NewBee, even though the start of the fight kind of was Kaka wasting his ultimate, but turns out that they didn't need it.
I do like this from Zai as well, that the kind of the Midas into Greaves, because you know they're EG, they're definitely trying to put all eggs in the basket, pushing and going now, and having a Greaves could help turn around those engagements. I'll see Kaka and Unan are going to be spotted out down on the bottom lane. Arteezy trying to chase forward, but they're already backing out. They're going to be fine. They're going to be safe. As NewBee now catching up on the board, 5 to 8. Imagine with a defense like that. Yeah, it's pretty much just flatlining this difference around the 2k mark, so pretty much nothing at all at this stage of the game. So, as you said, EG have got to be a lot more careful with these high ground attempts, and a lot of weight on Universe to hit those chronos that, as of recent, he just hasn't been able to find.
Well, the difference between a good chrono and a bad chrono this game is, like, insane because of how much damage you have inside of the sphere, because you have Drow Aura, you have Sumail's Aghanims, you have the Fatal Bonds, and even Oracle does a fair amount of burst with level 4 Purifying Flames. So if that chrono lands well, you win the fight, like, almost every time. And even if you're only hitting, like, 2 heroes, you still have Chaotic Offering for that another form of a disengage or counter-engage, whatever you want to call it. And I think that really the only way they lose these fights is if Universe only chronos 1 hero. And the hero is not like, you know, Faith or not a core after the Shadow Demon has already used Disruption. That's pretty much the only criteria he has, is just hit a hero that Faith can't disrupt.
EG grouping up again to go. Sumail has the E-Blade done as well, so the potential to burst down one of these supports on NewBee. And Arteezy is going to get called straight away by KP. Crit again with the crit reactions, making sure that there's no way that NewBee can follow through that. DG just regaining their position. Pressure was put on the top line by SC, and he's done a sizable bit of damage here to the tier 3. Now down to half health, so they have got to be a little bit aware of the potential Invoker Rat. And the Tornado into the MP onto Artor. Greaves are popped. Getting themselves ready to go back in. KP again with the call onto Arteezy. Let's find there's just no kind of follow through by the looks of it from NewBee. They're very aware that Universe is in the neighborhood with a Blink Chrono at the ready, so they've got to be so careful on who they jump on the side of EG, as that Chrono's always going to be there ready to counter them.
It's kind of tricky from both teams, and I think that right now KP is doing the right thing. Like, even though he's not getting the kill, and he's not really doing a heck of a lot of damage, he's still preventing the Rax from taking the damage. But now, here we go. Look
at this damage beating into him. The Crimson Guard, the disruption will save him. Universe jumps in, holding the Chrono for the time being, gets himself out. This time doesn't see the angle. Will save it. Problem's going to be dropped onto SC. Universe falling low, but the false promise is there. He drops the Chrono. This time he catches two, but there's no follow-through damage because on the backlines, Unine with the BKB and the Eclipse is going absolutely ham. Universe is out of this one. The rest of EG starting to split, starting to try and get themselves desperately out of there. Zai, he'll be able to TP, but the Light Strike array from Kaka catches out Crit. Crit's going to go down as well. Down towards the bottom though. RT turning around onto KP. And Artor will find a kill in return, but still a 2-for-1 trade favoring NewBee. And SC straight away trying to get a bit of pressure on the top lane, knowing that EG with 3 men only on the map, a little bit harder for them to hold these lanes.
Man, that's like the 3rd time in a row Universe is like... he didn't cost him a fight there, but he goes in, and he like tries to chrono, and then second guesses himself, and then tries to get out, which ends up him getting so low that he's forced to be false promised by Crit in order to not die. Then he has to throw out another suboptimal chrono because he's gonna die in the duration of the ult no matter what. And now Roshan.
He will find.
Yeah, SC is gonna be dropped here.
That's a big killer. He did go in because Zai was tempting him. You know, SC gets Zai, but paying with his life. That's not the trade that the Invoker would have wanted. As EG still holding on to this game, 10-8. Very, very close indeed. And yeah, as you said, eyes on Roshan. EG can take it incredibly quick. I mean, even to the point where, do you think SC buys back for this, or do NewBee just have to let this one go?
If he was going to buy back, I think he would have already.
Yeah.
I mean, they could maybe defend with just a call. I'm not sure.
Oh, he's going to buy back.
Okay, he's going to buy back
He's
now.
getting himself in.
He has bots.
RTZ gets a good gust. I mean, forces back the side. And yeah, indeed, look at this. The sweep around from SC coming in from the right. EG already splitting. He'll get the Tornado. Controlling Crit. They can take him down. Cold Snap and the Dragon Slave to bring him out of the fight. Immediate buyback from Crit. They realize that they've got to fight this EG. They really want to contest the Roche, get the chance of taking the Aegis for themselves. But NewBee back into the pit. It's incredibly low. EG needs to make a play quickly. Silence onto Fate, but Artor caught out in return by the call. The Laguna Blade, the Sunstrike, everything on him. Drow Ranger's out. And NewBee, off the back of that kill, back into the pit with no Drow Ranger. EG with limited options in terms of contesting this. And NewBee will be able to secure themselves the Aegis on SC. As at this point, EG have got to be very, very scared about how the game is going, and indeed, SC.
SC's on the hunt.
Eyes onto Samael. There's a bit of 9k action for your boys and girls. Cold Snap, Ice will Samael, left, right, shake it all about. There's Demonic Purge. False Promise will come out. That's going to be enough. He's going to be fine this time. And so the save was there from Crit. And still 10-10. 33 minutes in. This game's getting harder for EG. The Gold Graph, for the first time, may just about sweep over to NewBee's advantage, but of course it's still so close. This is an insanely close game. I mean, at this stage, you feel it's still 50-50 either way, or is someone in a better position now?
I think NewBee are definitely in the better position. I mean, more than anything else, it gives you a confidence boost when you win multiple team fights in a row. And their base defense has been pretty good. They only lost the range racks. I think that it's very hard to defend against what EG have, because they have 2 really good forms of team fight in the Offering and the Chrono. So the fact that NewBee have fended them off like 3 times in a row, taken Roshan away from them, forced buybacks as well out of the side of EG, I think that's a really good thing for morale on the team. So for now, I would definitely say that NewBee, they hold the advantage. I mean, look at what happened in the last engagement by Roche. They killed Crit. Crit knows he has to buy back because Roshan's going to be done. And then because Crit's not actually back in time, Artor goes into the river, ends up getting picked off, because he knows that, he's saying to himself, we don't contest this, it's going to be really bad. We can't push again for another 6 minutes. So he dies, and now all of a sudden NewBee are going to regain map control off the back of that, and that's something that they pretty much haven't had for a very, very long time.
Again, another good scan from EG. And we'll spot out NewBee. Are indeed in the moment in their jungle, so they'll back away from that top lane. Not wanting to be caught out. Obviously some notable item pickups. Kaka just managed to finish off the Ags on the support Lina, so it's going to be...
Oh god, he has an Ags?
Yeah, it's pretty insane. Just the involvement in these frequent kills. It's got him right up there.
He can pretty much just solo kill freaking Oracle.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to be able to Fate's Edict yourself against Ags Laguna. You're still going to die. But yeah, his burst damage now is becoming more and more of a problem. And the nice thing about having Lina and Axe on the same team is your burst on a Lina sets up for the cull. So you know that, a Sunstrike or Laguna is pretty much going to put anybody in cull distance, and you just chop them. And just move on to the next target. But here we go, NewBee. They're smoked. They got their Aegis. They have all their teamfight items ready, and they're looking for battle.
Absolutely. Where's your scan now, EG? They could get caught heavily off guard by this. KP leading the way. He's found Crit. And there, no escape there for the Oracle. Crit's out. The question is, can they find themselves anything more? The pings come through. They know that there's more than neighborhood. Universe straight out with the TP. Sumail, yeah, as well. Quick to escape. So they will manage to get themselves away. But 50 seconds opening now without Crit support. NewBee could look to abuse this and try and go in hard on the lanes.
Yeah, this is going to be the last tower falling for sure. I don't think that EG have any want to contest this at all. I mean, it's really getting out of hand now, because even though, you know, Sumail can push out the waves pretty well, I really feel like Aghanims might need to be a thing on the Drow soon if they're going to start to have to play the lane game. Because before, they had the full lanes pushed out, but now it's kind of reversed itself because they failed 3 high ground pushes and then they lost Roche. So EG are now the ones on the back foot. And this is a situation that I was talking about earlier when NewBee get to your base with the Luna, and they have the Shadow Demon illusions, your tower just starts to take chip damage. And you can't really initiate on a hero that has that much health in a BKB.
Absolutely. I mean, that tier 3 goes down without NewBee having to even bat an eyelid. There's just nothing that EG could do to slow that down, and as you said, the illusion spam can potentially become real. But NewBee obviously still respecting the fact that EG have that Chrono into Chaotic offering. They've got to be very careful about being caught out upon by. Faith has got his Blink Dagger though, so Shadow Demon's disruptions will be a little bit more easier for him to pull off for the big saves if any of the cores do get trapped in the combo of EG in this team fight. Now, EG for the time being doing their best to keep NewBee away from it. As he just sends in a bit of a tornado combo. Sees if he clips anyone, but NewBee for the time being, looks like they'll back up and maybe look to push out the other lanes as well, as they are reaching over to their half of the map so they can try and get a bit of pressure onto EG from all sides.
Yeah, I mean, mid and bottom are pushing pretty far in their favor, so just having the Forward Spirit stop with the Meteor drop will be enough for SC to get that lane going in NewBee's favor as well. And this is scary territory for EG. I mean, this is a necessary smoke, but it's also a very hard one to actually pull off, because when you do that kind of smoke, I think the ward might have even scouted it, honestly, the one that NewBee placed, but they smoke, they're walking across the map. NewBee have full information as to what's going on here. They are not going to be caught out of position. They're even surrounding the area that EG are running to. They are reading this perfectly. Like, they know exactly what EG have in mind.
EG indeed, I think they realised the gig's up for that smoke. They'll just look to push this bottom lane back around. In terms of item build up site, working towards the Ags. I saw Universe was going for that, the Aghanims himself as well on the Void, by the looks of it, just realizing how crucial it is to win the team fights to have those Chronos available, and he's about 1k gold away from it, Universe.
Yeah, it's the best item for the situation, like, I think, hands down.
Yeah.
Maybe, you know, you want a BKB to keep yourself safe or whatever, but honestly, if he hits a good Chrono, even if he dies, like, immediately after, it's not like he's giving his team damage. It's more just like, I'm a Chrono and I'm a Time Dilation, and that's it. It's not until you get, like, your 5th and 6th item that you start to do your own damage output, so I think it's the right call on his part, and the consistency of a 60-second Chrono, that's going to help a ton for them.
Oh,
nice
Kaka.
arrow.
Oh wait, no way, no,
That's
yes.
that enhancement.
Yeah, that was.
It was a nice thought.
That he literally just walked into the hitbox as well. It was right on the tip.
I mean, to be fair, there's no way Sumail knew that he was there. He just threw it out, and because of the way that he was walking around the trees, he had no way of seeing the arrow before it hit him, because it like lined up with the trees perfectly. I mean, he did make him waste a sentry in a dust, so that's something.
Well, one man down on the side of NewBee, EG. We'll see if they feel that they're in a bit of a better position to try and get a fight on the high ground.
I think SC needs to back here. This is... he wants to get the Ranger X, I guess, first.
He wants to try it. Nah, yeah. Is he going to back? Yeah, he's just going to drop the Forge Spirits and get back. It's easy being the focus of the moment. It hits a Gus, forces back KP. The Demonic Purge down onto the Drow Ranger. Now gets forced back. Chaotic offering dropped on the back lines, but KP gets himself in with the 2-man call, and now U9 coming in with the Eclipse. Zai falling low. Warlock to be the first to drop here. Crit in the midst of it all as well. He's going to drop down. It's Arteezy trying to hold them back. Faith jumps forward. Artur trying to play around with the side here, but KP's in. They've surrounded him in the tree lines. They'll take down Arteezy as well. Meanwhile, though, worth noting, in the middle lane, Invoker did end up going down to what looks to have been Universe catching him with the Chrono, and Sumail being there as well. So they had enough burst to kill SC. So, well, actually not going to be mentioned there on the fight recap. So it's a 3-for-1 trade. They do just hold on to the melee racks. We can see that SC was going in hard on those racks. But yeah,
I think EG just didn't communicate properly what was gonna happen. Like Universe TP'd back way before everybody else, right? Because they had the Moonlight Shadow, so he was scouting out SC, and the only person who has enough burst, I think, to kill SC in that time is Sumail. So if they were gonna do that, then they needed to back a lot sooner, because as soon as you start to see TPs and as soon as SC gets jumped, you have to expect NewBee to make some kind of move. They're not just gonna sit in their base when they have a Blink Axe and let you just hit their buildings. So maybe could have been executed a little bit more cleanly and gotten a kill for free and then just backed off, but they did end up losing quite a bit for that. So in the grand scheme of things, I still think it's probably better for NewBee.
Oh yeah, getting those 3 kills and yeah, just shutting down EG's maneuver at the top. And Roshan is back in play. They'll have the full 5-man up on both sides in a few seconds. NewBee into the pit straight away. EG, they've got to make their way over there. The line's been drawn. They are going to attempt to get there in time. Universe, no Chronosphere for 30 seconds, and that's just going to be a little too long by the looks of it, as NewBee already bringing down Roche to half health. So if EG want to contest, they're going to have to do this without Chrono, without Chaotic Offering. And that in itself just seems like a bit of a hard ordeal for them to go through.
Yeah, I don't know if they can. I think they just have to give this up. I mean, their teamfight control is pretty much entirely through ultimates. That's how their lineup works. And that's one of the big issues when you have this style of team comp, is once you are not sieging, your lineup becomes super weak, because you don't have the control during the fights to reliably be able to get kills. And you're so reliant on things like Chronosphere to be able to get those kills that if the Chrono isn't good, we've seen how much it can affect the Void player who's under that much pressure. I mean, Universe is probably, you know, one of the best Void players in the world, if not the best. And he is not really having that great of a game because of how much he absolutely needs to land good spheres. And that kind of pressure can really affect anybody, so they're now kind of in this position where NewBee are the ones who can dictate the tempo. They can fight on, you know, the drop of a dime. They don't have to wait for this Chrono, they don't have to wait for a Chaotic Offering. Even Eclipse, while it's still useful, it's not like something that they absolutely need to succeed.
Absolutely not. And especially in the next fight as well, the fact that SC's got the Aegis, of course, and U9's got the Cheese. I mean, at this point, EG themselves, I guess they just have to wait that Aegis down. I mean, is there any way that EG can try and fight whilst they have the Aegis and Cheese on NewBee?
I think it depends on if NewBee ever decide that they want to split up. I guess there is something to be said for, you know, NewBee's lineup. The way that it works is it's usually just 4 heroes sticking together and then SC off on the other side of the map trying to do something. If you can read his movements and maybe catch him out, that might be one way you can take a fight, because he does have Aegis, but a lot of the time, you know, prior to Roshan dying, his team wasn't really behind him that much, but it looks like with that Aegis, they do want to just be as a 5-man squad, and this is a very, very hard team to fight into.
SC leading the way with the smoke from NewBee. It's going to be a scan from NewBee. They'll see that someone's there, but Zai quickly TPing out. SC, he's got the lockdown onto Artsor. Is there going to be any kind of save? Hurricane Pike himself back to safety. Goes there as well if necessary. NewBee getting themselves potentially ready to utilize this Aegis and Cheese and try and finish off what SC tried to go for earlier. This melee racks in the mid lane. We'll see how EG can react to this one. As NewBee is going to take their time, look for the positioning.
EG are in such a bad spot right now.
Oh, SC's actually come in. He gets Chrono by Universe, but KP avoids the Chronosphere. They need to kill this Invoker quick, but the Deafening Blast comes down. The Chaotic Offering is dropped onto the Invoker. He goes down, but he has Aegis back for round 2. RTZ with the BKB trying to fight, but Fate, the disruption, saving KP for the time being. Now U9 comes in with the Eclipse side, falling low. U9 manning up against Universe. There's 2 dead on the side of EG. Sumail coming in, trying to clean up with the E-Blade, and he will find the kill onto Luna. So EG do manage to force them back. They lose the melee racks. Looking for more. Jump forward from Universe. He's got his eyes on Kaka. They've got a sentry as well, so EG will find the 3rd. So considering that was a defense up against Aegis and Cheese, you know, they do lose the melee racks, but EG, they come out on top with the numbers.
I mean, you also have to consider how hard NewBee went on that. Like, U9 was hitting Zai under tier 4 towers with 2 Chaotic Offerings beating on his face. I'm pretty sure they could have disengaged from that a little bit better after that Chrono. Because again, it only hit SC, right? Which is fine. I mean, hitting the Invoker at this stage is perfect, because he's the one dishing out a lot of the damage during the fights, and he also offers a fair bit of control. So I think that Chrono was actually okay. It's just, they went all in. Like, they did not back
really
up
did.
even an inch. And NewBee were just like, yeah, we're getting this rack, so we don't care what it costs. That's really what it felt like when they were taking that fight. But I mean, it does help EG in the sense that they got a lot of golden experience from that, so we'll see if they can make use of it.
EG coming back across the map again. I mean, EG themselves, is it best for them to wait until Roche is back up before they try for high ground, or do they just have to use any opportunity they have to try and break the base and get Universe in there with the Chronos?
I think that more than anything, they just want to have some kind of map pressure. So not necessarily going for an objective like a tier 3 or a Rax, but just pushing the lanes out as best you can, because that's one of the more stable ways to ensure that you're going to be able to contest something when it actually becomes available. If you don't have the lanes pushed out and you allow NewBee to just walk down all 3 lanes and shove them to your side of the river, you're going to have a lot harder of a time smoking because it's going to be obvious. You're not going to be able to really walk the Roche. So I think more than anything, you know, just try to abuse the fact that you have that Sumail Ags and push waves as best you can with those bots as well. It looks like they want to try to go for a smoke. At least they're grouped up right now. Might be talking about waiting it out a little bit.
I mean, the farm on some of these cores is incredibly impressive. I mean, even on the supports as well, it's started to step up this whole game.
Yeah.
Sumail walking around pretty much 6-slotted. I mean, Sumail, there's not really much, obviously, other than the upgraded bots and a moonshot that he can go from here with that MKB done on top of the BKB E-Blade.
He's kind of like a hybrid Mirana. He's got the Aghanims plus the E-Blade, but he's also dealing a huge amount of right-click damage because of the Drought Aura and, like you mentioned, the MKB. I think it's a really solid build for this type of game because you need to be able to kill the Luna. And the Luna, the illusions might die to your Aghanims, but she's not going to die to Aghanims on its own. You need something else to be able to hit her. And it looks like Artur is going to be taking the same path to MKB as well. So when those come out, they will have the damage. Again, it's just all about the ultimates. If they can line them up properly, they can win a fight.
There's certainly kind of been back and forth in the sense of the map control. You know, one team loses a bad fight, bad defense, and suddenly it's the other side that is putting the pressure on. You know, we saw NewBee kind of keeping control of the whole map, and then that one bad push where, you know, they get the racks, but they lose a sizable fight. And EG, they're the ones that are out here keeping tabs on the lane momentum and maybe preparing themselves for a bit of a push down the mid lane. Universe constantly just hiding in the trees, hiding in the sidelines by his team, just in case NewBee do come out for a bit of a fight, bit of a skirmish, and look to kick it off themselves.
Kind of funny to me after watching this game. I was thinking to myself in the back of my mind when I was watching EG go bottom for the first time, I was like, this could be a 25-minute game. Because they actually have all of their ultimates. They have Greaves on a support Warlock, and they're pushing into NewBee's tier 3s at a very early stage. And that, would, to me, was like an incredibly hard push to defend. And then 3 defenses later in a Roshan, NewBee are just looking like they could take the game at any point. I mean, granted, EG can kind of still do the same. But I think it's harder for EG to take this out than it is for NewBee.
I mean, it is very, very close in terms of net worth. As you said, it's just all about the execution in these fights. MKB, as you said, was being built by RTZ, now complete. And going all in as well. So, no buyback will be there for this man if they do decide to kick off a fight soon, EG.
I think that's the item they were waiting for.
Yeah.
I think with a double MKB, they should be able to burst a Luna pretty reliably.
Here we have it, RTZ with the bait, potentially. He's going to lead the charge as EG, the rest of them, smoked up on the side. We'll see if NewBee do fall for this or make any kind of attempt on Artur that EG can turn around. As NewBee get themselves in position for the defense, the full 5-man ready to go. RTZ still leading the way now. Now looks to back off the smoke. It runs out as EG not quite getting the attention that they wanted from NewBee at that stage. And if anything, just keeping control around the Roche pit. We'll see the respawn timing out. Is it going to be decent? It's just over, just under a couple of minutes. So EG could very well wait for that and just hang on before going too hard. And to be fair, with this kind of tempo of the game, that very much could be the play. And another item picked up. It's going to be the butterfly complete for Sumail as well. So yeah, he is really getting away with himself.
Yeah, the right-click build I think is probably the proper way to go about this.
Yeah.
And it's really scary for both teams because one bad fight with how much damage both drafts are bringing to the table at 15 minutes in, your base will just melt.
EG with the 5-man
Arrow?
as they come around for the wraparound. Universe jumps in. SE is going to be defensively disrupted by Faith. The Chrono will be dropped. It catches SE, will allow them to get the Invoker kill. Now they look towards KP, closing in onto Zai. Zai kept alive by Chris. False promise there'll be a buyback from SC. Kaka at the moment kind of left on the sidelines in the pit. There's little he can offer. U9 pots the BKB Eclipse as well as he looks to chase down RTZ, backing off the Hex onto Crit. SC coming back into this fight with the buyback. Crit and RTZ are down. Zai just kind of standing at the sidelines with the upheaval. But the rest of his team starting to shatter as Samael. He's been stunned up. U9's there with the chase down as well. He'll look to try and take down Kaka with it. In fact, Samael gets the kill. And he may actually be able to escape. He's going to have Blink, so Samael managing to find a bit of a trade off the back of it all. As the fight will end. And EG lose 3. NewBee do lose 3 as well. And, of course, SC did use the buyback in that fight. And so did KP. So all in all, again, good gold trade for EG. As they managed to make a sizable difference there. And we'll see the graph swing back the way of the side of Evil Geniuses. So NewBee needs to find something else from this bit of play. And it is going to be looking towards Roshan. That's what they're going to attempt. And EG was still 2 men down for 30 seconds. It should be long enough for NewBee to get this. So again, back and forth, back and forth.
Yeah, it's still a super even game. If Roshan had not been up, I would say that EG just crushed that fight, but a double buyback in order to secure a cheese Roshan is actually still okay, I think, from the side of NewBee. This is a really rough situation for EG because they committed a lot there to being able to get some kind of advantage. And then the objective that maybe they themselves wanted to get in the end game still ends up going the way of NewBee, regardless of buybacks at this point. Like, you know, SC, he's got all the items that he really needs at this point. He's not really going to get that much stronger. And I guess you could say that, you know, U9's pretty much in the same boat. Maybe he finishes up Dragonlance or excuse me, a Hurricane Pike, or maybe he sells a Dragonlance and buys something else. But yeah, we're getting to the territory where these cores really aren't going to be getting too many more items anyway. So spending money on a buyback really just means that they just need to not die again for the next couple of minutes, and it's not really an issue.
U9 coming fairly far out here.
Good Shadow Blade.
He doesn't actually have anyone else near him. As EG, they've potentially found themselves a free Luna. He'll put the BKB now, the backer comes across. SC manages to close the gap. Samael trying to man fight up against U9. Crit has to false promise himself as the combo from SC being dropped onto the Oracle. Universe comes back in, hits the bashes, SC's down. He's got the Aegis ready for round 2. They can't afford to lose him again because his buyback is on cooldown. SC being focused, U9 taking the right clicks. U9's going to fall, they'll lose Luna. Find anything more. KP being focused by the side of EG. Falling low, falling fast. The chaotic offering from Zai dropped on SC. SC hexes up Universe, allowing himself to get out of there. The chase continues as Samael was looking for Faith. They get out, but again, 2 down on NewBee. There's no buyback, of course, for KP. His buyback on cooldown. U9 does have a buyback available, but Universe, he's going to have the Chronosphere ready for this push as well. So EG in a good sweet spot at the moment. We'll see what NewBee can do to stop it.
I mean, they can even split up and have Samael go bottom if they want to. It's looking like he's going to try to go for kills. They're going to force the buyback on Luna at least. I don't know if they're going to continue to commit to this. They have to know that KP doesn't have buyback. Like, he bought back for the bottom fight, so they should know that. With that information, 4v4, with Samael like being as strong as he is right now and his BKB being up, they might be able to do something.
See what they can achieve here. U9 just cleaning out the golems. RTZ a little bit low at the moment.
I guess not having the Oracle is making him a bit too scared to push, because the Oracle is like the hero that will save you if you get hexed or if for whatever reason you get initiated on. Universe has Blink Chrono again.
That's up to U9. The space to take down the range tract. Of course, ticking back down to that time where KP is going to be back in the game. So EG will be range racks and back. Nothing more that they can find here for the time being.
And they just gave NewBee a ridiculous amount of respect during that push. Like, a lot of teams would have just walked up that hill and just been like, yeah, your axe is in here, we don't care, and we're just going to hit your buildings.
But and I think Crit may have been tanking up some of the stronger creeps, and SC, he just drops a Sunstrike, and he gets himself a freebie.
Well, that's one of those moments where you're sitting there and you're like, oh yeah, there's an Invoker in the game. I've been there. That's definitely happened. But
Crit's got to be careful. You can't let yourself get low, indeed, yeah, with the Invoker in the game.
Refresher actually purchased as well on the Invoker, so he is pretty much maxed out. This is the strongest form, final form, whatever you want to call it. He doesn't have buyback, obviously. KP doesn't either. So this fight for NewBee, this is pretty all in.
KP and Faith leading the way. Look at the ward down. EG playing very, very safe at the moment. And with all heroes off the map on the side of NewBee, EG, yeah, they realize something's up. In fact, well, they want to go for something themselves. They're going to smoke. All ults at the ready. And looks like they're actually going to end up avoiding each other. The line was drawn from RTZ on the top lane to push that one in. And NewBee, it's just going to be a case of both teams avoiding each other. The lane is relatively pushed in on the mid lane, so NewBee can come in on that if they want. After they see EG revealing themselves on the top lane, and well, RTZ doesn't have a TP on him, for instance. I think he may be just the only one. Actually, no, Crit doesn't either.
This is really nice movement though from EG. They're following the creep wave basically towards top, so if NewBee aren't in position, they can just go for the siege on the racks. Now they're just waiting it out to see if anybody's going to TP back. They have a ton of damage, by the way, so if nobody TPs back from NewBee, they can kill this even through backdoor protection.
They head to the secret shop to pick up those TPs and get back, but it's already too late for the melee racks. Top EG able to finish those off. Now eyes towards the mid lane. Gonna look for more here. RTZ just pummeling away the damage. Ripping through this tier 3. Kaka jumps forward. RTZ forced out. As indeed EG get a nice clean objective. They get the upper hand there with that play. Oh, there's the jump in. Universe gets 3 in the chrono. There's the chaotic offering to follow through. Faith dropping low. He's going to be the first out, but U9 pots the BKB. Samel as well as his BKB going on to SC. Invoker's out. This is 2 dead, but they may lose Samel. Falling low to the Eclipse. He'll go down, but they've lost U9 as well. KP, I don't think he can hold this on his own. It's just him and Kaka left. And GG is called just like that. EG closed the game. Universe with the chrono when it counts. The follow-throughs there from Zai. And it's all over just like that. First game of the series to EG.
This is only the beginning.